Hi, I'm Rob, and in this Gems of War video, I'm going to take a look in the Soulforge and tell you what I think is good and bad in there. As well as that, I'll be taking a look at this weekly event troop, the Blood Elf. Anyway, never criticise someone until you have walked a mile in their shoes. That way, when you do criticise them, you'll be a mile away and you'll have their shoes. Oh my god, that caught me a bit funny, that one. Anyway, Blood Elf, let's take a look at your matey boy. What you doing? Steals magic +1 life from an enemy and webs them. That's actually not bad. The traits: all enemies lose 2 random skill points, immune to poison, disease, lycanthropy and deathmark, and immune to mana drain, silence, fairy fire and web. So that's all round a pretty decent troop. The traits are pretty good. Those bottom 2 are always useful. It's a total of 8 different immunities to various negative status effects. And stealing life is true damage. You take it from the enemy, but you actually add it to your own. So that's very good. And web is very powerful. Say the whole team is, the enemy team is based on something like a Diamantina or something. You can web a Diamantina and that reduces the magic to 0, which pretty much then does insignificant damage. So a very good troop, actually. 7 out of 10 for you, matey boy. And you can keep that smile on your face, because 7's a pretty good score. Well done, Mr. Blood Elf. As ever, grab these up to mythic level if you can. Always worth it. You'll be able to then get it powered up to level 20, which is going to affect your power level kingdoms in the long run. So let's do that. We'll power him up later. Always like to go to Spoils of War as well and grab 10 of them. Always worth doing. More event keys is good. A bit more gold is good. Treasure maps, we love them. Not really. Anyway, let's pop into the Soulforge and see what we've got going on there today. I'm not going to go over all the weapons that are here all the time, like Eye of Zathanos, Shattered Blade, Broken Guard, etc. They're in my Soulforge extra video. I'll put a link in the description below for that. But first up, we have Mace of Galvania. The kind of anti-Galvania weapon, if you like. This is the kind of weapon you use against Galvanian troops or in Galvania. Removes all purple gems with no effect. The reason for that is purple is the colour which Galvania troops like the most, and it just hinders the way they work. Just make sure none of your troops use purple at the same time, otherwise you'll be hindering yourself, which is not the plan. Then deal a magic-based damage to an enemy boosted by the gems removed, and if the enemy is from Galvania, or if the battle is in Galvania, deal double damage. So fairly situational, still kind of collectible in a way. Don't really tend to use them that much, just very occasionally. Axe of Leeching. Deal magic-based damage to an enemy boosted by Galvania allies, so best with a full team of Galvania troops, and then create a mix of 6 red and purple gems for each Galvania ally. Uses green and brown, generates red and purple, so make sure at least a couple of your other troops use red and purple to make use of all that mana generated. Blood Crusher deals magic +3, it looks like, damage to the first 2 enemies, boosted by undead allies, so best in a undead team. Again, bit collectible, nothing too essential about that. All these are here all the time, so they're in my Soulforge extra video, as I said. Next up is Wall of Oblivion. Steal all of an enemy's armor. That's actually pretty powerful, especially on the high-powered enemies. You take all their armor and you add it to your own. So that would actually make you quite heavy, wouldn't it, in real life, if you took all of an enemy's armor and put it on yourself? Never mind. But if the enemy is a boss, death mark all other enemies. Not bad. Doomed Scythe. Very, very, very good weapon. This is absolutely one to get this month. Dealing damage to all enemies, +1 per tempering level boost. Convert yellow gems to Doom Skulls. If the enemy has a Doom, create 5 more. And gain 3 mana for each purple enemy. Really, really good. Totally worth picking up. Who's next? Is that it? No, Bloodkeeper. Does damage to an enemy boosted by purple and undead allies. Simple as that. Fairly collectible, nothing too special, but always worth picking up these cheap weapons sometimes, because a lot of your kingdoms will be locked by needing a certain amount of weapons. You need fully tempered or fully upgraded to move on to the next kingdom. Right, that was it. Yep. Right, onto the troops. No one too spectacular on all of these, apart from Brown. A couple of very good troops in Brown this week. Nobbin Brothers gain an extra turn and either eliminate magic-based attack from all enemies or deal magic-based damage to all enemies or explode a ton of gems based on your magic as well. But a really, really good troop. Very, very good indeed. Like them a lot. And Savage Hunter as well is very good. Does damage with a 50% chance to hit the wrong enemy. And if the enemy uses green, deal triple damage. Also deal double skull damage versus green enemies, as well as placing Hunter's Mark on enemies when doing skull damage. Really annoying on Green Day on Guild Wars. You have to absolutely watch out for that thing, because if the enemy gets a good start, that thing could just start wiping the troops out absolutely straight away. So certainly worth a roll of the dice. See if you can get any of them by spending a few summoning stones. Alright, let's start at the bottom and work our way up. First up, we have the excellent King of Ravens. Explodes all purple gems and spirit gems, then deals magic-based damage to the 2 last enemies boosted by spirit gems. It's a ×6 boost as well, so that is actually pretty decent. And the traits are good as well. Summon a Dark Storm at the start of battle, which is purple, and it uses purple. Mana Shield, immune to Mana Burn, Mana Drain, and Mana Steal, which means it gets its mana and pretty much keeps it. And Murder of Ravens, convert 2 blue gems to spirit gems when my turn begins. So yeah, and remember that damage is boosted by the spirit gems, so that is actually a very good troop indeed. In Spirit Walker class, absolutely excellent stuff. Same as the weapons, all the troops that are here all the time are in my Soulforge extra video, which will be in the link below. Next up on the mythics we have Umenath. Kind of like a mini Zul'Goth, with the caveat you actually have to kill a troop to get the extra skulls. Does damage to an enemy boosted by all their skills at a 2-to-1 ratio. If the enemy dies, gain 10 attack and create 12 skulls. So yeah, the skulls, even if you kill someone and you create those 12 skulls, that can kind of work against you still if they fail to align. But it is best to try and make sure you cast that on somebody else when the top troop is entangled. So if those skulls miss, then you're not going to actually set them up for a load of skull bashes. Does gain 4 attack when matching 4 or more gems, which is pretty decent, and place Hunter's Mark on enemies when doing skull damage is also good. So yeah, she's not bad at all. Next up we have Tian Yi. Does heavy splash damage to an enemy and stun all affected enemies, pretty good. Then deal double damage if my attack is greater. It's far, far more effective if your attack is actually greater. And then summon 1 to 3 monkey disciples. So not a bad troop, not actually great either, it's just okay, but in certain teams can work really well. Steals 2 magic from the first enemy at the start of his turn is pretty good as well as half enemy gem masteries. That's pretty decent. But yeah, not essential, but not entirely diabolical. Unlike the Hideous Doomclaw, it sounds like it should be really good. In a way, deals damage to an enemy boosted by enraged allies with separate 25% chances to devour the next enemy above and below. The trouble is, just hardly ever seems to happen. Like, I've tried this thing plenty of times. With 2 separate 25% chances, that should happen once every 2 or 3 turns at least. Get one of them. It just rarely seems to happen, but hey ho. It is what it is, but he is immune to devour himself and does enrage a random ally on 4 or 5 gem matches. So yeah, Doomclaw, never mind. Is that it? 1, 2, 3, yeah, and Ravens. Right, don't usually recommend crafting legendaries because those diamonds are far better spent on important mythics, which are far harder to get. But the legendaries here today are King Heliodor. Does true damage to the first enemy boosted by brown gems and allies, then knock them to the back and create 3 elemental stars. With a few of these in the same team, that can actually loop really, really well. And as well as that, you give 5 life to all elemental allies when matching brown gems. The reason why that loops really well is because of that creation of the elemental stars, and the fact it creates a brown gem when its turn begins. So yeah, you can have quite a lot of fun with him. He's not bad at all. Next up we have Charybdis. Does damage to the first enemy and last enemy with independent 10% chances to devour the enemies, boosted by +3 for each submerged ally and enemy. Will submerge itself when it takes damage, but that's not ideal. You don't want to take damage really to get submerged first, but yeah, in certain teams that can actually work really well, and does gain 10 life when matching 4 or more gems. So yeah, not bad. Not as crabby as it looks. Next up we have King Highforge. All dwarf allies start with 50% mana. That's good on its own. Does have fortitude as well, which is decent. Stun the last 2 enemies and deal magic based damage to them, boosted by allied dwarves, and has a summon as well. So decent. Stun, damage, summon, 50% start, fortitude. Not bad, matey boy. So don't look so grumpy. Kraken. Used to love using this in the early days of the game. Used to absolutely rely on that devour chance to come in, but still a good troop to chuck into something like Guild Wars. If you're a newer player or your magic isn't particularly high and you're up against a team which is significantly more powerful than you, it's always worth chucking something that does devour into the team, because you never know when it might come in, and anybody playing you on Guild Wars will be absolutely wary of the way that Guild Wars works and the way that devour can happen, and that can change the course of the game absolutely instantly. Deals damage to the last 2 enemies. It creates 8 blue gems. Then there's a 35% chance to devour the last enemy. Like I say, if that comes in, that can absolutely change the course of the game. Immune to stun, which is good. Gains 2 life on 4 or 5 gem matches, and deal 3 damage to all enemies on 4 or 5 matches, which I used to use that a lot. Yeah, good old classic Kraken. Fond memories, mate. Fond memories. Right, and that is it. Right, who gets my Mythic of the Week? Well, it can't be Tian Yi. It's okay, but not quite good enough. Doomclaw, unreliable. Umenath, good, but you do have to rely on that kill to get the 12 skulls, and even then it can backfire on you, but still very good in the right team. Set up the right way. But it has to go to the King of Ravens for me. A very good in Spirit Walker team, in the Spirit Walker class. Exploding gems, generating mana, doing a lot of damage to the last 2 enemies when you've let those spirit gems build up, or give them a chance to build up, as long as the enemy doesn't have a chance to explode gems as well, of course. Is immune to mana burn, mana drain, and mana steal, so it gets mana and keeps it. Very good indeed. King of Ravens, my Mythic of the Week. So there it is. There's the Soulforge video for this week. I'll be back later on with my other videos, the Epic Trials videos and things like that. More besides. Manic Monday. About 4 videos normally on a Monday. It's insane. But anyway, King of Ravens, my Mythic of the Week. If you enjoyed this video, found it useful or helpful, feel free to share it and all that sort of stuff. But thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye for now.